If you need help remembering the signs that our universe was specially created, this video is for you. If you're like most people, you appreciate some help seeing how the Bible makes life better today. And if so, you're in the right place. I'm Pastor Mike, and this is my study. Now, I've been a preacher and a Bible teacher for over 20 years, and it's in this office that I prepare my lessons. I've come to believe that all Scripture makes a difference, no matter who you are or where you live. And I love to help people see how. And that's why this channel is called Scripture That Makes a Difference, because all the videos on this channel aim to show how each passage makes a difference today. Now, if this is your first time here, you can learn more about this channel in the description down below. And if you find you like hearing how specific passages make a difference today, just click that subscribe button and you'll get more. And when this video is over, if you want to read the passages that I've referred to, I've left a link to Biblia, a Bible webpage where you can read the scriptures online. You can check out everything that I've said there. I read an article this last week that said that the mathematical likelihood of evolution on the smallest possible level is 10 to the 40th thousandth. That's a big number. That's a 10 with 40,000 zeros after it. The same article tried to put that in perspective by pointing out that the known universe is estimated to have about 10 to the 80 atoms. That's a 10 with 80 zeros after it. Now, Fred Hoyle was the mathematician that calculated this, and he says that this proves the improbability of life developing on Earth by abiogenesis. Now, abiogenesis is life coming about without the aid of other life. In other words, by accident, usually over time. Now, I admit that this might be, I'll admit this probably is more math than most of my viewers typically enjoy. But if life didn't develop without help, is there other evidence? And is there an easy way to remember some of that evidence? Now, I feel like before I go on, I need to make a disclaimer, especially for those of you who have begun to use this channel as a way to debunk Christianity. Please continue. I'm enjoying those interactions, but just so you understand that I'm not trying to give a PhD level dissertation on the design of the universe. I'm just trying to present some of the often presented evidence in a way that's easy to remember, so that people who are interested can easily recall the evidences that are typically used to show that our universe is designed. So I'm going to present 5 signs that I've randomly selected from the site 20 Arguments God Exists by someone named Peter Kreeft. I hope I've pronounced that name right. I don't know the person, I've just looked at his website. And I've arranged this around the acrostic signs because I need help remembering them, and I hope that this will help others remember as well. The S in signs is sexual reproduction. And the way that I understand Peter Kreeft to present this, by the way, I've left a link to his webpage in the description. If it's mathematically improbable that one organism would develop by accident, then it's more than twice as unlikely that 2 would develop by accident and make reproduction by sexual reproduction possible. So sexual reproduction fits nicely in an S in an acrostic called signs. The math presented by Dr. Hoyle is based on the creation of one bacteria, a single-celled organism that does not reproduce by sexual reproduction and does not have what's called specialized sensory organs, or intricate organs designed for sensing like seeing or hearing or tasting or touching. The presence of these basic sensory organs in almost all the higher life forms demonstrates the need for more input mathematically than a single cell organism would need. To fill in the G in our acrostic, we would use the concept of the Goldilocks principle. It's that principle that Earth is in exactly the right place to support life. And it seems like the Earth has been put in exactly the right orbit around the sun. If we were just a little bit closer, what we consider climate change would be tremendously worse. The water levels would rise, the ability to raise vegetation would change, the different parts of the planet would freeze. And so the Goldilocks principle seems to sustain the thought that the Earth is designed for us. Now, this acrostic signs is original with me, so if you don't like the next two, you can point your finger at me if you want to. But I would put this in quotation marks: the need pine trees have for fire. For instance, the ponderosa pine seems designed to shed its bark before it burns up the inside of the tree and allows it to survive forest fires. Mathematically, the possibility of that evolving is tremendously higher than the already outrageous number we've presented. We can look at the lodgepole pine as well, which cannot open its pine cone without the presence of fire. And it seems tremendously unlikely, that a species on planet Earth would evolve in such a way that it needs a destructive force in order to reproduce. And my S for signs is what I call simultaneous evolution, or you would probably be more comfortable with the word symbiosis. Species like the yucca moth, and they're dependent on the yucca plant, requires a simultaneous evolution that just mathematically, in addition to the improbability already presented, makes it seem more likely that this symbiosis was designed. And there are lots of examples of this symbiosis. Another one, if we go back to the pine trees, is the white bark pine, where they need the nutcracker, the Clark's nutcracker, in order to spread their seeds, because the Clark's nutcracker has a beak designed specifically to open the white bark pine, which never opens by itself. And again, this is not meant to be overwhelming proof. I would refer you to the websites that I've listed in the description below for the overwhelming proof. What I'm actually doing here is trying to present an easy way to remember some of those signs. Signs that I've heard people use to defend the possibility that our cosmos is designed. But of course, ultimately, this tells us very little about the designer. So it's up to you at this point. You have to decide. Do you think the evidence as a whole supports design or evolution? And if the evidence indicates a creator, who has the best claim? Frankly, we can't know. That creator would be so different from us that we wouldn't be able to conclude for ourselves what that creator was like. In other words, he'd have to reveal himself. Fortunately, we have two sources that do reveal him. And of course, you would expect me to say the Bible. And that's the first evidence I would present for what that creator would be like. I would look at verses like Romans 1:20, where Paul says, "For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so that we're all without excuse." But that's not the only evidence. We also have the life of Jesus Christ. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 3 tells us that he is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature. And isn't it amazing that this creator wants to know us? He sent Jesus Christ to reveal himself to us and to remove the barrier of our sin so that we can have a close relationship with him. That's how much this creator, who could overcome those mathematical odds and put together life, wants to know you. And any study that inspires us to search for God leads us to Scripture that makes a difference. So, what's your key takeaway from this study? Some of you will have positive things to say, and I'm sure many of you will have negative things to say. I'm okay with that. I want to hear your thoughts. Please leave them in the comments below. And any questions, I'm sure there are many questions because this is just barely an introduction. You can put those in the comments too, and I'll respond. And please consider making suggestions for future topics that you'd like to see me cover as well. And if you gained any value by watching this video, please click the thumbs up button. And if you like hearing how specific passages can make a difference today, click the subscribe button and click the bell so that you're the first to know when I've released new episodes. And please help us get the difference-making message of the Scripture to others by sharing these videos on your favorite social media. And if you're ever anywhere near Enid, Oklahoma, please come by and visit us. Our address is on our Facebook page. I always leave a link to that in the description down below. Our services take place at 10 o'clock every Sunday, and you can come by and visit us then. And until next time, please remember, we may forget the signs, but the Bible reveals that there is a Creator and what He's like.